In this video I'll give you a quick tour to the VCDS program, or what VAG-COM as it's also known as. I'll just show you some of the basics and some of the coding possibilities that you have. So the first thing you do is of course connect the VCDS cable to the car, to the OBD connection. Then you turn on the ignition for the car and then launch the program. So it's just saying that my software is out of date, and if I want to update, for now I'll just say no. And I believe for the first time you launch the program you need to go into the options menu and then select the connection port that you want to use. In my case it's USB, and I guess it would be in most cases. Then you press test and then save and apply. Alright, so here you have the main screen, and in this part up here you can select different control modules within the car. We just skip that for now. And this is the auto scan feature, and it also searches all the control modules within the car, and it gives a readout of any fault codes and so on. So we'll just start with that. Up here you can select your car. You have a long list of VWs, Audi, SKODAs. For older cars before around 2004 you need to select the specific model, but for cars with a canned gateway you can select the auto detect. So I'll just do that in my case. Press start, and it starts to go through all the different control modules. So the first thing you see here, you have all the list of all the modules, and you saw that the last one and the third last one was red. That's because there's a fault within those control modules. But now it's just starting from the top with the first control module, and did the second one and the third one, which is called number 8, but it's just because different control modules have different numbers. So going through all the modules will take around 2 minutes. Alright, so now it's done, and by incident it's just stopped on a module that had a fault within. So this one is for the electrical heater that's inside the car, and it says that the heating element is defective, which it is, so there's nothing to do there. But if you scroll all the way to the top, you can go into each of the control modules from within the first list here. So if you starting to run off. Oh, what's happening? Stop. Alright, I guess I was holding the camera, so I pressed the arrow down button. Never mind. Alright, so if you double click one of the, you can double click any module, but if you want to go directly to a module which has a fault, you don't just double click, and it opens the module and it reads the fault. So here it says that the trailer left tail lamp is out, which and it gives you at which mileage the fault was detected and the frequency, how many times it's been detected. And this one is because I have a trailer connected that has a bulb out, so it's correct. And I can just clear this one and it won't appear again because there's no trailer attached right now. So it says no fault code. So if I was to do a rescan now, the trailer would turn into status OK. I can go into the heating element as well. In here we got the fault, and this one cannot be cleared because the heating element is broken. If you had lots of fault codes within lots of different modules, you could press the clear all DTCs, and it would open one module at a time, just like in the autoscan before, and it would clear the code. You can also save the files list which has just been created into a text document. I'll just try to do that so you can see how it looks. We'll just put it on the desktop. Do you really want to permanently close this session? Yes, nothing really happens. So, where did it go? It's here. So this could be used if you wanted to post a specific code to a forum or something like that. So you get all the modules, the part numbers for the modules. So this is, for instance, the steering control module, I believe, yes. And you can see this is the part number for the module. Yes, so you can check all your part numbers from within here. And if we go to the last one, where we got the fault, you can see here it's listed. Alright, so that was just doing a basic fault code readout. If you wanted to do some coding of different aspects of the car, you would have to go into the select the control module tab, and here you got all the control modules that's within the car, and it refers to the auto scan as well, so it will be the same modules. So you can see the first one is engine ABS. This is the climatic control. The central electronics module is for lighting, and you actually have a lot of coding possibilities in here. You got airbag, nothing in there. Steering wheel will be used if you're retrofitting a steering wheel with buttons or paddle shift. Instrument can be used for changing consumption figures and language and stuff like that. The CAN gateway can be used for if you are installing a new module, it has to be added within the CAN gateway. So the gateway is actually picking up signals from all other of these modules, so it's like a bridge for all of them. Immobilizer, if you were changing the instrument cluster on some cars, you would need to reprogram the immobilizer. Navigation, don't think you have many possibilities in there. Then there is the driver's door, steering assist, don't think you have any possibilities in there as well. Central convenience module, oh. I'll just close it again. You have actually, like the central electronics, you have some coding possibilities in there as well. Another door module, xenon range if you have HID headlights, radio, door, trailer, door, and heating element. So if you were to code something that you found on the internet, that you go into this and this module and code by this and this bit, I'll show you how to. So you would need to know which module you have to go into. So if you know you had to go into the central electronics module, it's number 9. You would go into coding, and go into the long code helper. Then you get this box up where you have possibilities to check and uncheck different things, and it's pretty plug and play, straightforward. If you wanted to add something or change something, you just check it or uncheck it. So the first, or line number 3 up here, refers to bytes, and down here 4 refers to bits. So if you know you had to change byte number 4, bit number 3, you would go into number 4 first. So it starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then find the bit that you need. And then it's just a matter of clicking or unclicking it. I'll just take this one off. It can be added again later, so no harm done. You would press the code button, and it comes up with a new code down here. So this is the current code, and this is the new code. And you just press do it. And what you want to change is changed. So if you're not so familiar with this, I would recommend doing one thing at a time, so you can always remember what you changed, and if you get some problems, you can easily undo it. So I'll just run through some of the coding possibilities that you have. Engine, ABS, and the air conditioning system, I have no experience with coding. I guess I don't know what possibilities there's in there, to be honest. For some modules you will also have a drop-down menu up here. So here I got the rain and light sensor, which I could also pick, and I could change change parameters within this as well. Alright, so many of the things are not so interesting. If you just installed for the first, just to take it from the top, the first one, if you installed retrofitted fog lights, you would have to add this one, xenon lights as well, footwood lights. All of these are self-explanatory, so I won't go too much into detail with those. Here you have different options for daytime running lights. This my car is now set for Scandinavian, which means I always have the headlights on and the tail lights on. It could also be set for North American. Tail lights will be off during daytime. I'm not so sure about the headlights, but you have the possibility to change the daytime running lights from the main beam to the fog lights. You have that possibility on another tab. Driving assistance, leaving home active. I don't know what that's doing. Rain light sensor installed, coming home active. So that's if when you exit your car, should the headlights stay on until a certain time after you lock the car, you have possibility to change that in intervals of 10 seconds. So you could change it, I believe, from 0 up to 60 seconds with 10-second intervals. Within byte 1, you also have some standard possibilities here. Most of them refers to what's installed in the car. So the cold diagnostics is when you turn on the ignition, it detects the checked bulbs for short. So if you were to install a LED bulb, for instance, you would not need to uncheck these boxes. But if you don't, you can actually see it sends a pulse out to the bulb, so it starts to flash when you turn on the ignition. So it flashes 3 or 4 times quickly. In my opinion, it looks pretty stupid. So I turn off these. These one are called cornering lights. So it is when you are going below 40 kilometers an hour, it can turn on the fog lights or the high beam or xenon shutter to the side that you're indicating, or either turning the steering wheel to. It's just to give some additional illumination in that area. And the last bytes here don't have anything in them. Alright. So that's the central electronics module. Airbags I don't want to play with. Often if you get an airbag fault and you change the part that was defective, you would need to go into the fault codes and erase the code before it disappears. Steering wheel. So this is another way the coding can look. So every line up here refers to a position, so it's the position where the question mark is. So if I wanted to change that the rear windscreen wiper is not installed, you can see it's a 2 right now here. If I wanted that to say that it's not installed, the camera just died, so I had to find another one. But the CAN gateway, if you are installing new components like xenon headlights or a trailer tow bar, you would have to go into installation list and then find this is actually a list of all that's, I guess, possible to connect, and you find the thing that you have added, and then you just check it. So if I was retrofitting a sound system, I would need to check this one afterwards. Immobilizer, changing instrument cluster and immobilizer, especially on Golfs and Jettas, and can be pretty complicated. So make sure to do your research proper before going to that. Navigation. This is a basic MFD2 head unit. So I don't believe you got many coding possibilities in this. Perhaps if you were using the RCD or RNS 510, you would perhaps have some more options. Yeah, you can see here you got some destination input, whether that should be possible when only the car is standing still or up to 6 kilometers an hour. Even though my car is set to 6 kilometers an hour, I'm still able to do it above. I don't know if that's... And then you got TV tuner and dynamic source. I don't know what that is, but apparently it's activated. Then you got driver's side door, and this is one of the codings where you have to add things up and calculate the sum of the number. So if I were to install seats with memory, I would need to add 256 to this number here. If I were to add door exit lights, which I actually already have added, I would need to add 64 to the sum. Steering assistance, I have no experience with that. Central convenience module. In this module you actually have quite a few options. This is how many doors the car unlocks when you unlock it. So you can change it to just to open the driver's door, front driver's door. And the safe function is something about being able to unlock the car from the inside when the car is locked via the remote control. And I think it's a theft protection system, so you cannot destroy the window and then just unlock the car from inside. And in here I have also added auto locking when the car goes above 15 kilometers, and then it unlocks again when you take the key from the ignition. Then you got some comfort functions. So this is if you hold down, for instance, the unlock button on the remote control for I guess it's around 2 or 3 seconds, it starts to roll down the windows. And the same if you hold down the lock button, it starts to roll up the the windows. And then here you can choose for which doors it should be possible. So rain closing, this is if you have a rain light sensor installed, you can activate this, and if the windows are rolled down or if the sunroof is open and it starts to rain, or the rain sensor senses rain, it automatically closes the windows and the sunroof. If you want to make this option available, you need to change it in here and you also need to change it within the, I can just show you really quick, you need to change it also within the central electronics module. And you need to go to coding, and you need to go to, I believe it's red light sensor. Yes, ring closing active. Was that too far? There we go. And herein choose whether you want which feedback you want from the car when you unlock it and lock it. You can choose to have the turn signals blink once or twice, which I believe it's activated by default, but you can also choose to have the horn sound. And you can choose it for both the remote control and the key. Radio. Yeah, you have some options for sound system is installed and CD changer. Door, trailer door, and so on. Alright, so another thing I can show you is doing output tests. Or many of the let's take the radio for instance. You can check all the loudspeakers in here to see if they're connected, working, and how they sound. So if you go to output test, and you can also do it for the instrument cluster, and I believe you can do it for the central electronics module and see all the exterior lighting. So you press the the output tests, and then you just basically press start, and when I press activate, it shows what's activated. Alright, radio display. I believe this one just keeps cycling until I press activate again, and then ends. So that was that one. And I can show the one for the instrument cluster as well. then I press next. 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 Oh, I guess I missed that one. There we go. Next, next. 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 I don't know why it should be just be done now. I'll just quickly check out the ignition. Alright, so because I turned off the ignition, the program lost signal. I don't know, perhaps you got the possibility of doing an output test for the xenon headlights as well. I'll just turn them on. Alright, I'll press begin now. Alright, I think that pretty much covers all the basics. And I've probably missed something. And if you would like have specific questions, of course, just ask, and either I'll be able to help or somebody else will probably be.